If he chooses another woman, let him go. I know that can be painful to hear, but I need you to understand something. Rejection is redirection. It's not the loss you think it is. It's life showing you exactly where you're supposed to be, and more importantly, where you're not meant to stay. When someone you care about decides to be with someone else, the first instinct is to internalize it, to think, what did she have that I didn't? Not what did I do wrong, but that's the wrong question. The real question is, why would I want to be with someone who isn't sure about me? Think about that for a second. Why would you waste time trying to prove your worth to someone who doesn't already see it? You don't need to convince the right person to choose you. You don't need to audition for a role in someone's life. The moment someone hesitates, the moment they start looking elsewhere, they've already given you your answer. I know it hurts. I know it stings in ways that feel unbearable at times, but that pain isn't because you lost him. It's because you had an idea of what he was supposed to be, what the two of you were supposed to become. And when reality doesn't match that vision, it's jarring. It shakes your world. But here's what you have to remember. The right relationship, the one that lasts, doesn't require you to chase. It doesn't require you to compete. And it certainly doesn't require you to question your own worth. There's a version of you, one that's more confident, more self-assured, more magnetic, who doesn't settle for uncertainty, who doesn't waste time on people who can't see her value. And every time you hold on to someone who isn't holding on to you, you delay meeting the person who will. Letting go isn't just about moving on. It's about making space for the right love to find you. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what if he made a mistake? What if he comes back? Here's the thing. When a man is truly certain about you, he doesn't leave in the first place. He doesn't risk losing you. He doesn't gamble with your heart to explore his options. And even if he does come back, do you really want to be someone's backup plan? Or do you want to be with someone who chooses you without hesitation, without comparison, without a second thought? One of the hardest things to do in life is walk away from something you wanted so badly to work. But real strength is in knowing when something isn't for you, even when your heart tries to convince you otherwise. Because when you hold on to the wrong person, you block the right one from ever having a chance to step in. You spend time wondering what could have been, instead of creating what will be. So if he chooses another woman, let him go. Because the moment you do, you take back your power. You stop waiting for someone else's decision to determine your worth, and you remind yourself that you are the prize, not something to be debated, not an option to be considered, but the person who deserves to be chosen completely, without question. And when you truly embrace that, you win every single time. There's something really powerful about realizing you deserve to be the first choice. Not the backup plan, not the maybe, not the I like you, but I just need to figure things out. You deserve someone who sees you and thinks, that's it. That's the person I want to be with. Think about this for a second. How many times have you tried to prove your worth to someone? How many times have you stuck around hoping that one day they'd see what you bring to the table? It's exhausting, isn't it? It feels like you're constantly auditioning for a role in someone's life, when in reality, you should already have the lead part. The problem is, when someone is unsure about you, it creates this dangerous cycle where you start questioning yourself. You wonder if you should be more fun, more attractive, more successful, more whatever it is they want. But the truth is, the right person won't make you feel like you need to be more of anything. They'll love and appreciate you for exactly who you are. The moment you feel like you have to convince someone to be with you, you've already lost. Not because you're not good enough, but because love doesn't work that way. Love isn't about persuasion, it's about connection. It's about two people who choose each other because they genuinely want to, not because one person had to work overtime to prove they're worthy. Imagine you're at a restaurant. You look at the menu and you know exactly what you want. You don't need to overthink it, and you certainly don't need to wait around for the chef to convince you that it's the right choice. You just know. Now, imagine being on the receiving end of that same certainty. Imagine someone who looks at you and doesn't need time to figure out whether you're what they want. They just know. That's what you deserve. If a guy tells you he's unsure, take that as the clearest answer you'll ever get. If he's hesitating, if he's weighing options, if he's putting you in a position where you feel like you're in competition with someone else, walk away. Not to play games, not to manipulate the situation, but because your time and energy are way too valuable to be wasted on someone who doesn't see you as his number one choice. It's a shift in mindset, really. Instead of thinking, how do I make him see my worth? Start thinking, why am I giving space in my life to someone who doesn't already see it? That shift changes everything. Suddenly, you're not trying to prove yourself. You're holding out for the kind of relationship where you don't have to. When someone chooses another woman over you, it stings. Let's not sugarcoat. It can feel like rejection, like a personal attack on your worth. But it isn't. It's simply a reflection of what they were looking for, and if that wasn't you, it's actually a blessing in disguise. Because what's worse than losing someone who didn't fully want you? Staying with them and spending years wondering if you'll ever be enough. Real love isn't found in uncertainty. It's not found in someone who needs time to explore other options before circling back to you. You are not a safety net. You are not someone's second choice. And the moment you start living like you believe that, you'll find yourself attracting people who don't need to be convinced. So if he chooses another woman, let him go. Not with bitterness, not with anger, but with confidence. Confidence in knowing that when the right person comes along, they won't need to decide between you and someone else. You'll be the only option that ever made sense. When someone chooses another person over you, the immediate reaction is often pain, confusion, maybe even anger. It's a feeling of rejection, a hit to the ego, and an unsettling sense of being replaced. But let's be very clear, walking away in that moment isn't just an option. It's the most powerful move you can make. And not out of spite, not to play a game, but because confidence is found in the ability to let go. There is something profoundly attractive about a person who refuses to beg for love. That kind of energy is magnetic. It's the kind of energy that says, I know what I bring to the table and I'm not afraid to eat alone. When someone chooses someone else, it's easy to internalize it as a reflection of your worth. That's where most people get stuck. They start questioning themselves. Was I not enough? What does she have that I don't? Should I have done something differently? But the moment you let yourself go down that road, you give away your power. You allow someone else's decision to dictate how you see yourself. And that is a mistake. Let's get one thing straight. A man who genuinely values you, a man who truly sees you, does not put you in a position where you have to question your place in his life. Love is not about convincing someone to pick you. The right relationship is about mutual certainty. So when a man chooses another woman, you don't fight for him, you don't chase, and you certainly don't start proving your worth. You let him go and you do it with grace. Because here's the truth. If you have to fight for someone's attention, you will spend the entire relationship fighting to keep it. And that is exhausting. You deserve to be with someone who makes you feel safe, not someone who keeps you on edge, wondering if you're enough today, or if tomorrow he might decide he wants something or someone else. There's something incredibly attractive about a woman who knows when to walk away. And I don't mean walking away in a dramatic, I'll show him what he lost kind of way. I mean walking away with dignity, with self-respect, with an energy that says, I refuse to be an option. That kind of confidence doesn't just affect the way others see you, it changes the way you see yourself. You stop waiting for external validation. You stop needing someone to choose you because you've already chosen yourself. And here's what's even more interesting. When you walk away like that, something happens. You trigger something in that person because suddenly you are no longer available. You are no longer waiting. And that's when people start to realize what they had. The unfortunate reality is that people often only appreciate something once they feel its absence. But let me be very clear. Your goal is never to make someone regret losing you. Your goal is to be so sure of your own worth that you never wait around to find out whether they do. A lot of people stay stuck in relationships or in situations that are beneath them because they fear letting go. They fear the unknown. They worry that maybe this was their best shot, or that if they leave, they'll be alone forever. But what they don't realize is that holding on to the wrong thing is what keeps them from finding the right thing. You cannot make space for the right person while clinging to the wrong one. Confidence is not found in making someone stay. It's not found in proving your worth to someone who is unsure. Confidence is found in the ability to say, if you don't see it, that's okay, but I do. And then you move forward, not out of bitterness, not out of anger, but because you understand that your value is not dependent on someone else's ability to recognize it. Letting go isn't a loss, it's a win. It's a win because it means you're no longer investing energy in someone who doesn't see your worth. It's a win because you free yourself to attract someone who does. And most importantly, it's a win because you prove to yourself that you are strong enough to choose yourself, even when it's hard. So the next time someone chooses someone else, don't see it as a rejection, see it as a gift of clarity, a gift that allows you to move towards something better, something healthier, something that doesn't require you to question your own worth. Because when you know your value, you don't fight for a spot in someone's life. You gracefully step aside, and that is where true confidence is found. Love isn't a game. It's not a competition where you have to prove yourself against someone else. The moment a man puts you in that position, where you're left wondering if he's going to choose you or someone else, you've already been given your answer. The right man, the one who is truly for you, would never make you feel like you have to earn his love over another woman. That's not what real commitment looks like. That's not what love feels like when it's right. Think about this for a second. If you had to convince someone to see your worth, to recognize your value, would you ever really feel secure with them? Would you ever feel truly chosen? Or would you constantly be waiting for the next time they second guess, the next time they start looking elsewhere, the next time you have to prove yourself all over again? That's not a partnership. That's a performance. And you deserve so much more than that. The best relationships are not built on doubt. They're not built on someone wondering whether you are enough for them. They're built on two people who know, without hesitation, that they want to be with each other. The kind of love that lasts, the kind of love that makes you feel secure and adored, is the kind where there is no question. It's the kind where you don't have to look over your shoulder or constantly try to be better just to hold on to someone's attention. If a man is unsure about you, if he's weighing his options, if he's trying to decide between you and someone else, let him go. Not as a punishment, not as a strategy to get him to come running back, but because you know your worth, because you understand that you are not an option, you are a priority. The right man won't put you in a situation where you have to compete for his attention, because he'll already know that no one else compares to you. Let's be honest, deep down, you already know this. You already know that real love doesn't feel like a battle to be won. It doesn't feel like sitting in uncertainty, waiting for someone to make up their mind about you. That's what we do when we don't yet believe we are worthy of more. That's what we accept when we fear that maybe, just maybe, we're not enough on our own. But you are enough. You are already everything you need to be. And the person who is truly right for you will see that without hesitation, without comparison, without needing to test the waters elsewhere. When you let go of someone who can't decide if they want you, you send a powerful message not just to them, but to yourself. You're saying, I deserve better. You're saying, I refuse to settle for someone who isn't all in. And trust me, when you hold that standard, you will attract someone who meets it. Because people who are truly ready for love, people who are truly capable of building something real, don't hesitate when they find it. They don't make you question your place in their life. They don't leave you in limbo, wondering where you stand. So if he chooses another woman, let him. Not because you weren't good enough, not because you didn't try hard enough, but because he just showed you exactly why he was never the right person for you. You don't lose in that situation. You win. You win by walking away with your dignity. You win by not chasing someone who didn't see what they had in front of them. You win by making space for the person who will look at you and know, without a doubt, that you are the one they want. And that's the only kind of love worth having. Just because someone doesn't see your worth doesn't mean it isn't there. This is something people struggle with all the time. We internalize rejection. We take it personally, and suddenly someone else's inability to recognize what we bring to the table makes us question whether we were ever valuable to begin with. But here's the truth. The way someone treats you is a reflection of them, not of you. If someone walks away, if someone chooses another person over you, that doesn't define your value. It only defines their level of awareness, their priorities, and their ability or inability to recognize what's in front of them. And the worst thing you can do in that moment is try to prove your worth to someone who already failed to see it, because the right person won't need proof. They'll feel it. Think about it this way. If someone handed you a diamond and you tossed it aside because you thought it was just a piece of glass, does that mean the diamond suddenly loses its value? Of course not. It just means you didn't recognize what you had. And that's exactly what happens when someone chooses another person. They didn't suddenly make you less than. They just weren't the person equipped to appreciate you. But someone else will be. Too often we beg people to see our worth. We wait for validation. We twist ourselves into versions of who we think they want, hoping that if we just do or say the right thing, they'll finally pick us. But that's not how it works. When someone can't see your value, when they choose someone else, the biggest mistake you can make is thinking it's because you lack something. It's not about a lack, it's about a misalignment. You weren't lacking, you just weren't the right fit for someone who wasn't right for you. And that's okay. The person meant for you isn't going to weigh their options. They aren't going to need time to decide between you and someone else. They're going to know, they're going to feel it, they're going to choose you, not as an option, not as a second thought, but as the only thought. And that's the kind of love you deserve. What you have to understand is that your worth isn't up for negotiation. It isn't something that fluctuates based on someone else's choices. And when you chase someone who doesn't see your value, you're sending a message to them, but more importantly to yourself, that your worth is dependent on their approval. It's not. This is where true confidence comes in. Confidence isn't just about feeling good when people want you. Confidence is about knowing your value even when they don't. It's about knowing that someone choosing another person over you is their loss, not yours. It's about recognizing that rejection isn't a reflection of your inadequacy, but a sign that this person wasn't meant to be part of your journey. And I know that's hard to accept when emotions are involved. I know it's painful when someone you wanted to build something with decides they'd rather build it with someone else. But that pain is temporary. You will get over it. What's permanent is how you treat yourself in response to that pain. You can either chase them, diminish yourself, and settle for a relationship where you always feel the need to prove something, or you can walk away with your dignity intact, knowing that the right person won't need convincing. So the next time someone chooses another person over you, let them go. Let them go with grace, with confidence, with the quiet understanding that their decision says nothing about you and everything about them. Because when you hold on to your worth, when you refuse to lower yourself for someone who failed to see it, you set the stage for something better. You make space for the person who will look at you and say, I'd be a fool to let you go. And that's the kind of love you want. That's the kind of love you deserve. The kind that doesn't need persuasion, the kind that doesn't need convincing, the kind that simply knows. You win by choosing yourself. And I don't just mean that in some vague self-love Instagram quote kind of way. I mean it in the deepest, most practical sense. When someone walks away from you, when they make a choice that doesn't include you, you don't lose. You gain something invaluable. The chance to finally see yourself as the one who matters most. Think about it. How many times have you twisted yourself into knots trying to be what someone else wanted? How many moments have you spent analyzing their texts, replaying conversations in your mind, wondering if you could have said or done something differently. That's energy, that's effort, that's emotional investment. And if someone is showing you they aren't willing to invest in you in the same way, why are you giving them the power to dictate how you feel about yourself? The moment you make the decision to let go, to truly let go, not as a strategy to make them chase you, not as a game of who cares less, but because you refuse to be an option to someone who isn't treating you as a priority, you shift everything. You reclaim your power. You set the standard. And something incredible happens when you do that. You stop fearing loss because you realize you were never really losing anything of value in the first place. See, the fear of losing someone is often what keeps us attached. We tell ourselves that if we just hold on a little longer, if we just prove how good we are, they'll finally see it. But real love doesn't work that way. A person who values you sees your worth without you having to prove it. They don't need to be convinced to stay. And the ones who do, they were never really yours to begin with. There's a reason the phrase choosing yourself is so powerful, because when you do, you shift from waiting for someone else's decision to making your own. And making that decision is the ultimate act of self-respect. It says, I am not going to sit around and hope that someone finally recognizes what I bring to the table. I am the table. And let me tell you something, when you carry yourself with that kind of certainty, it changes how people see you. It changes how you see yourself. It changes the energy you bring into every interaction. When you know deep down that you are enough, you stop tolerating anything that makes you feel otherwise. You don't settle for breadcrumbs. You don't wait for someone to figure out if they want to be with you. You don't beg for clarity from someone who should have made it clear from the start. The irony is, the second you choose yourself, you instantly become more attractive, because confidence isn't loud, it isn't desperate, it isn't trying to prove anything, it simply exists. And people are drawn to that. People respect that. And more importantly, the right person for you will recognize it immediately. They won't make you question where you stand. They won't treat you like an afterthought. They will match the energy you bring. But here's the part most people don't want to hear. You have to be willing to walk away. You have to be willing to close the door on anything that makes you feel less than. That's where most people struggle, because the moment you walk away, there's that lingering what if. What if they change? What if they realize they made a mistake? What if I don't find someone else? And that fear keeps so many people stuck in situations that drain them, waiting for something that may never come. But let me ask you this. What if, by walking away, you open the door to something 10 times better? What if, by choosing yourself, you finally allow yourself to meet the person who never makes you feel like a second choice? What if the person you're supposed to be with is waiting on the other side of your self-worth? Because that's the truth. When you stop settling, when you stop clinging to the idea of what could have been, you make space for something real. And that's the real win. Not getting them back, not proving anything to anyone, but living in a way that aligns with your value, knowing that you are enough, with or without them. So if he chooses someone else, let him. If he's uncertain, step away. If he doesn't see your worth, you don't need to convince him. Your job isn't to make someone love you. Your job is to love yourself enough to walk away from anything that does.